put it up on the big wall to our left over here. But importantly, this show essentially is for you to catch the news pulse of the day. It's your one-stop shop. So ladies and gentlemen, do get down in the comment sections, because even as we're trying very hard to delve away from that very rigid newsroom structure, break those barriers, those walls, let you come in. How about you also participate and let us know what is it that you'd like us to do, your opinion on a particular news topic, so that it's easier for us to talk about what you also want to listen to as well. We'll try our best to bring you a balanced perspective with the right kind of voices as well. But meanwhile, a lot of stories that we have in fact listed down that we must cover in terms of catching that news pulse of the day. And across all front pages, there's only one news. It is golden Neeraj Chopra, our golden boy. He's again won, a gold. This time, a first for India at the World Athletics Championship. That's something that we're going to talk about. Manipur violence. 3 houses that have now again been attacked, vandalized, arson that has been committed. This is happening ahead of the assembly session. Meanwhile,
August 29th is the assembly session.
August 29th.
And then we have a situation like this in Manipur. And security forces have also been given instructions on how to deal with the situation, since it's very sensitive, Kabir.
Absolutely. And even as we're talking about, violence, new violence is something people still haven't forgotten. Today, the VHP Yatra was again supposed to be carried out. It was supposed to go through the same, localities and areas. Right here, on the front page, it says something like, no nod for Nuh Yatra today, visit nearby temples, says the Chief Minister. No nod for the Yatra, visit nearby temples instead. But the VHP is staying firm on
that they will actually go through this. They think that they will actually go through this complete route as such, and security as usual has been heightened because last time there was this huge criticism saying that it was a kind of a failure on the part of the local administration. So that is one aspect of that.
Absolutely. So that's something that we're going to have to focus on. The Prime Minister at the B20 meet, focusing heavily on artificial intelligence. And what exactly did the Prime Minister say? That's also something that's coming right up. But even as we speak about all of that, 2 more student suicides have rocked Kota. Yet again, it seems like Kota is getting numb to such news day by day, because student suicides in Kota, I think, very ghastly and horrific relationship.
It is so ghastly, but Kabir, I think it is something that we have not discussed, and we have to give some kind of time for it, because there's a lot of aspects involved in it. That you remember we had a mention of about the father and the son committing suicide, especially after they failed to clear their exams. So that is the level at which the pressure is building. I think we need to give a dedicated
stress and the pressure aspect of it as well. Meanwhile, Japan has postponed its moon launch because of bad weather. Well, Pragyan rover, great segue to talk about our own lander module up there. It has crossed 100 millimeter deep crater as well, and it's turned around. It's moving around at the Shiv Shakti point, ladies and gentlemen. If you think that was lunar surface, no, it's got a proper designation. It's got a proper name tag. It's called Shiv Shakti point. That's where it's roaming about. Meanwhile, in Muzaffarnagar, there was that teacher's video that came out where the teacher called on other students to beat this little kid. That particular school has been shut. Meanwhile, the teacher has come out and apologized. That's something that we'll definitely have to talk about. And 7 people that were killed in a Bengal factory after a fire blast. That will also be in our focus. I was crossing through various areas in Pragati Maidan last night, Varghese. A Sunday night ice cream jaunt, if you could call that. And the way the entire city is being decked up for G20, that's something that is impeccable. It's outstanding. It's so beautiful that one has to stop the car or maybe their vehicle and take a look at what's really happening. The paintings, the way the lightings that's been done, it's absolutely amazing. But on the other hand, pro-khalistani slogans and posters and those kind of defamatory posters have come up on the Delhi metro at a few places. A probe is underway. We'll bring you all the latest on that as well. But first and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, let's shift our focus. Let's talk about Nuh. All right. You know, a lot of people were asking me over the weekend whether the border areas are going to be shut. Will they be able to travel as freely during the G20 summit? The G20 happens from the 9th and the 10th of September, barely a fortnight left. And all of this, the Nuh clashes and the way it spread when it actually happened to, Sona, to various other places, to Gurugram, to various other places in Haryana, the border points were suddenly sealed up. They were suddenly taken care of. The farmer unions also sort of like came into action as well. What's going to happen this time around? Take a look at the semantics today. Manohar Lal Khattar, the Chief Minister of Haryana, has said that there is no nod that has been given for the Yatra.
Officially, Haryana Chief Minister is saying, Khattar is saying that there is no nod being given at all, and he's asked them to visit the temples and not to create trouble. But the fact remains is that the very visit is going to create trouble if we see it without security. But I think this time the state government is much more prepared. Last time we had to admit to the fact that the local administration had collapsed, and that's why the violence had taken place. But here, what we understand is that security has been tightened, and they have ensured that adequate number of police personnel are there on the ground. But Kabir, for me, one of the issues that is coming up is that we have a G20 meeting coming up, and that is when the insistence on this yatra is being taken out. I think the state government needs to tell the organizers of the yatra that we have an international summit like the G20 that is coming in. It is prestigious.
I am 100% sure that message has trickled down to the Chief Minister's office in Haryana, Manohar Lal.
Because it is a highly prestigious event that we are looking at, and in that event also, one of the things that has to be seen is that we have 29 delegates from across the world coming in for that G20 summit. It is the center's very prestigious kind of a situation that we are in fact looking at. It is a prestigious event for the country as well.
There are a lot of flashpoints.
You cannot have this local law and order situation spilling onto Gurugram or to the national capital. So you better get your things in place.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that is going to be the word that has come down from the top brass to the Chief Minister's office in Haryana. Now, let me just tell the viewers that the flashpoints in terms of the barricades that have come up, the net, the internet and the data connectivity has certainly gone down, and the schools have been shut. Let me just give you and the viewers, people especially from Haryana, from Gurugram, living at these border points, let me just tell you what the situation right now is. Haryana Police Chief says permission for Yatra has been denied in view of the 31st of July violence episode and the upcoming G20 Sherpa group meet in Nuh, which is going to take place from the 3rd of September till the 7th of September. Now the VHP says Jal Abhishek Yatra will be taken out and there is no need to obtain permission for such religious events. Basically the VHP, the Vishwa Hindu Parishad has come out.
It looks like whoever is from the Vishwa Hindu Parishad has no consideration for what is happening in the national capital. They seem to be insistent.
Look at the level of arrangements, Varghese. Look at the level of arrangements. I mean, is this your everyday yatra? You've got proper bunkers. The police have had to go through sophisticated, weaponry, and they're also using these bunkers for their own safety. I mean, this is high top class, riot gear and the force that has been mobilized and deployed.
Last time, when there was a big dignitary visiting, there was riots in Delhi as well, and that was when President Trump was there. And now we have the world leaders coming in. Why on earth can't you understand the nuances of what the Prime Minister is trying to do? Do you understand the fact that G20 is flagship program?
No, do you understand what's at stake?
What's at stake? You want to take out a yatra
even without the G20, there's still a lot at stake, even without the G20.
I'll give you one thing.
Why should the Chief
migrant
Minister's
workers
orders
forced
be
to
denied?
flee back home? Gurugram high rises feel the pinch. When migrant labourers fled Haryana in the aftermath of communal clashes in Nuh and nearby areas, they also left gaping in the lives of residents of Gurugram high rises. In the absence of workers,
imagine the plight of the poor. Imagine the plight of the poor, Varghese, that the news and the headline says that the high risers are feeling the pinch. That's the headline and that's the angle. When it should be that the people who are supposed to be living there, who were trying to earn their daily bread, who were trying to bring their economical lives to some sort of stability, have now been forced to flee. They've been asked to go away from there. And the angle and the news essentially here is that the high-risers are feeling the pinch.
No, because this time, whatever happened last time in Nuh, you could have blamed it on several things. Now, the government is saying that they have taken adequate security measures.
Right.
Whatever it is, whatever the yatra is supposed to be, if the VHP is insisting upon it also, Qatar has said that visit the nearby temples and please move ahead. I think that should be enforced. The will of the state should be enforced over there, because there is a very high-profile meeting that is going to happen in the coming days of September, and that cannot be overtaken by this story at all.
Well, multiple layers of barricades have been erected at entry points in Nuh. The vehicles are being thoroughly checked, like you can see on your screens, the level of barricading that has come up. Prohibitory orders have been passed and issued in Nuh district. Mobile internet and bulk SMS services have been suspended, so they're way ahead of their time in terms of carrying out their probe and keeping social media under check. Because we all know what happened on the 31st of July and what happened on social media ahead of the 31st of July. Educational institutions and banks are going to remain shut today. One state school board exam has already been put off, Varghese, only because of 28th of August. The Vishwa Hindu Parishad said that it's going to go ahead with it, with its Bridge Mandal Jal Shobha Abhishek Yatra, I'm forgetting the name. It's going to go on with its event as planned. Now, threat posters have come up near Gurgaon slum. Cops have been deployed. Posters put up near a slum in Gurgaon sector 69 have threatened members of one community, we all know what that one community is, to vacate their houses by Monday, the day of the proposed Bridge Mandal Jal Abhishek Yatra in Nuh. So that's the situation, ladies and gentlemen. Take a look at this and understand the semantics at play. Threat posters near Gurgaon slum, okay, slum shanties, all Rohingya Muslims, all Muslim community that are staying there in sector 69. This is just one off case that the Times of India has reported. Threatened members of this community to vacate their houses by today, the day of the proposed Bridge Mandal Jal Abhishek Yatra. On the other hand, the news story on this newspaper says migrant workers forced to flee back home. Gurugram high-risers feel the pinch. That's the angle at play here. Youths ask duo for their names, then attack them. Take a look at this. Two Muslim men, a truck driver and his helper, were allegedly attacked near sector 65 in Gurgaon by youths who asked them their names first and objected to the clothes they were wearing before raining blows on the two of them on Friday. And this is not the first case. People have asked for identification cards, Varghese. I mean, this is proper Auschwitz Nazi era scenario that's happening over there.
Well, here are some more stories that are coming in. Prohibitory orders that are in place. As a preventive measure, internet services have been suspended at Nuh from Saturday noon to August 28th midnight. And prohibitory orders have been put in under section 144 of CRPC has been imposed. The administration has also ordered schools and banks to remain shut for the day. The police at neighbouring districts of Faridabad, Gurugram and Palwal have stepped up security and appealed to people not to get misled by the messages.
I hate to interject here, but you know, from what I'm reading here, it might be a complete clash. Because it says here that the procession will start at 11 a.m. On the other hand, the Home Minister, Anil Vij, he says that I am ready with my own security steps.
What are they trying to do?
What is essentially going to pan out today is the bigger question now, because strength of the Yatra participants is going to be scaled down to 1,000. No DJ and loud chants. This might be coming in from the VHP. But if the Home Minister of the state is saying that this won't fly, this won't be carried out, and you're still going on with this procession, staying firm on your demand, procession is going to start at 11 a.m. The newspaper has the time.
No, my question is, if the state government is telling you not to do it, it means not to do it.
The Chief Minister says
the
no.
Chief Minister has given you a leeway. He says that you go. It's not, he's not stopping your this thing. He says you go to the nearby temples, you carry on peacefully and you carry on with the requisite way. But not in this manner. If they are saying something, you better listen to it.
Okay, you have these factors at play here. We also have a lot more stories to cover. Before we move on, what do you think is going to play out today? You have all the factors at your disposal.
I'll tell you what, it's going to be a very tense situation that we are going to see in Nuh. We have seen the old embers of that clash still there. the insistence of this would be seen as an effort to actually, go through again sensitive zones. Hope the security administration has woken up to what has happened last time. That is why they have increased the security right now. Haryana government should understand that this violence around Nuh cannot spill over to Gurugram.
We have quite a few people on the stream right now. Ladies and gentlemen, do get out in the comment sections. Help us understand what's your opinion about what's really happening in Haryana. Let's not forget, all of this is happening ahead of the G20 summit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you have the National Capital Region. We are preparing for one of the biggest summits that India has ever hosted internationally. We're looking at the G20 meet. The Prime Minister has been putting a lot of heft on it. He's been insisting upon it. There's a plan of action that has been taken. If the state government is telling you not to do it, and this is for the VHP organizers and those who want to create kind of trouble and create kind of this, don't do it means don't do it. It means that security has anyway been deployed. The idea is this, that the onus is on the security of the state, and if the state has the law and order subject with them, they have to maintain law and order, because this cannot be seen spilling onto how last time it happened in Gurugram. It could, later spill onto Delhi. It cannot happen. Delegates from almost 29 countries are coming in, and the meetings have been happening for quite some time. The city of Delhi is getting decked for it. The Prime Minister has been, in fact, talking about how important it is for the country, and therefore the complete onus is on the government of Haryana to ensure nothing untoward happens. And for those people who are taking this yatra out, well, followed all that instructions that have been given by the state government.
Absolutely. I mean, on the one hand, you have the Prime Minister who's talked about creating an ethical framework for the use of artificial intelligence, and on the other hand, we can't even move beyond our own communal clashes and our own, religious beliefs. I mean, live and let live has become a principle and an idea of the past. Maybe the foragers about 35,000, years back were living more peacefully than we are today. And that's something to say. That is certainly saying something. Varghese, what else do you want to touch upon next? There is, of course, news coming in from Manipur, there is news coming in from Gyanvapi, there is news about Neeraj Chopra as well. What is it that you would like to hit up next?
Well, next I would actually find out what happens in Manipur. In fact, Manipur, the fresh violence has been there. And
tomorrow is the assembly session in Manipur.
Tomorrow is the assembly session, Kabir.
And today we're learning about 3 more houses that have been burned.
In fact, yesterday it happened, and the papers have it with them. This is what is in Manipur. Government plans to supply essentials to tribal districts, is what is being said. The houses in Imphal were torched on Sunday. They have a picture of that. Commodities to be transported to Chuchandpur through Assam and Mizoram with the help of army and other forces, as the route from Nagaland blocked by Methi groups. Medical supplies to the hill districts to be ensured through aerial route. Now, blockading and counter-blockading of routes leading to the hills or to the valley has become counterproductive to Manipur as a state as a whole, as the state is reeling under shortage of essential supplies. Now, the Manipur government will start transporting essential commodities to the hill district of Chuchandpur from Monday, that is from today onwards. Supplies to the district, which is dominated by the tribal Kuki-Zo community, have been disrupted as critical highways have been blocked by women-led Methi groups. Transporters on Imphal have refused to ply to the area, citing the risk to their personal safety. In retaliation, on August 21st, a Kuki body reimposed the blockade on the Dimapur-Imphal National Highway 2 in Kangpopi district, a route through which essentials are supplied. So, as of now, the situation is not only about the violence, it is the blockading leading to shortage of essential supplies, not only to the hills, but also to the valley.
My question is, Varghese, how does the Chief Minister of Manipur, N. Biren Singh, now guarantee what he was talking about earlier, that I guarantee the safety of the Kuki-Zo community MLAs ahead of the assembly session?
But this
when
burning
things
of
are
houses,
certainly not in his control.
Exactly. So, burning of houses doesn't actually augur well for what he was planning to do on August 29th. When the session was supposed to start on August 29th, there was big question about whether security can be provided. But then when fresh violence breaks out, it only dents the confidence of the people who want to attend it. And the session is important because that is going to be the first platform where you will probably have the Kuki MLAs as well as the Methi MLAs coming on a common platform, and probably some kind of dialogue to happen. And that is being ruined because of this violence.
So what do you think is going to happen tomorrow? Will the assembly session actually take place or not? Because we've seen it not take place on an earlier date as well.
Well, see, the issues about security.
And it's important that the assembly session takes place, because that's what...
It's important.
We've been saying it for the better part of four and a half months
because
now. That dialogue needs to take place.
The problem is, the dialogue process has not happened. We had a peace committee that was a non-starter because it was announced at the height of the violence. It did not happen. We had several other back-channel talks happening which tried to bring the communities together. That did not happen. Then we had the cookie MLE saying that, you know, let the session start, we'll be boycotting it. And then again, talks are happening on that. So the issue is that if there's a common platform, somehow, some kind of dialogue should happen, because this violence, Kabir, May 3rd it has begun and we are at the end of August. So it's been running for almost 4 months to 4.5 months it's running. There's no end in sight, and still we are talking about Assam Rifles, Central Forces, Army, Police, all of them trying to man security, and then there's this huge blockade that's happening.
Absolutely.
Which is affecting the entire state and its economy.
NH2, which is the heartline of Manipur. That's what NH2 is. Visuals from the 27th of August, ladies and gentlemen, from Imphal. Essentially, the cacophony on the ground, it hasn't come down at all. It hasn't come down at all. And this is what people are worried about as well, that the law and order situation might be so out of hand that the people out there, you know, the administration and the authorities might still not have the best picture, the most clear picture of exactly what's at play here.
You know, look at this. Most of the armed forces are in fact caught up between on one
proper
side,
checking everywhere. Everybody feels like an outsider in their own house.
This is the kind of situation that Manipur is in right now, because there's no other option but to even rein in violence has become a problem, because we can't rein in violence right now. After so many months, it's difficult to rein in violence because people are not coming to the dialogue table. So much of insistence coming in from the center saying that why don't the talks happen? But no matter what initiatives were taken, it's not happening. And the reason is that now tomorrow, which was August 29th, would have been the best way of actually starting somewhere, even if it was an informal dialogue process. That was the best option that could have started if the sessions had begun.
Because, you know, why we need, more firmness on the ground is because even as we're showing you pictures of the recent, raid of arms, fresh arms that have been recovered, still not as close to exactly the kind of sophisticated weaponry the people have on the ground. But yes, a picture to, of course, exuberate the kind of confidence we want to push out in terms to the people. This just in on the internet, and I'm reading this. It says a JNU professor on Manipur police's FIR over a book on the Anglo-Kuki War. An FIR filed by a Methi group states that the 2019 book, The Anglo-Kuki War 1917-1919, a frontier uprising against imperialism during the First World War, which a lot of people from the Kuki community have said that, we are the ones who first fought against the Britishers before any one of you did. We were the first to dissent against the imperial British. Cannot discredit Kuki history is what the JNU professor says. So you see, people are attacking each other's histories as well, constantly as well.
No,
the angle of narco-terror, angle of law and order
in
being
2023
out and discrediting each other's history.
Yeah,
when they don't know that it's collective history, it's beautiful history, and it's our history together, isn't it?
See, the Kuki Anglo-Indian, the Anglo-Kuki war that was there, what you rightly pointed out is also our history. In fact, it's a history of, part of a history of India. So now the question over here is that you are having an FIR filed on a 2019 book in 2023.
Jesus.
That is actually what, actually shows the kind of trouble that is there in Manipur, in the sense that both the communities are not ready to talk to each other. And that's the worrying part of it. So where does this end? You can't go on a battle, drawing battle lines every day. You can't just draw battle lines every day.
Another important aspect, another important update that I'm reading here on the internet, which also says, and many people who are watching the stream right now might be aware of this. And if anybody from Manipur, of course, watching the stream right now, do get down in the comment sections. And without calling out the other community, how about you put in solutions? Let's talk about solutions, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we're essentially missing. So if there are people from Manipur in the stream, on the stream, watching us live right now, do get down in the comment sections. Help us out with some solutions for the public's perusal as well. But I'm reading here, Varghese, that a policeman's gun was also snatched. So what good and how strong is the policeman actually on the ground? We were looking at those visuals just now that, barricading is there. People are being thoroughly checked. You're being made feel alienated in your own home. But a policeman's gun being snatched. Imagine this situation right now. The man's got a rifle. Imagine if the policeman's gun is simply just snatched and it's like turned on the policeman itself. Where will that sense of authority and discipline and punishment, it's got a very weird relationship, I'll tell you what. Negative reinforcement and discipline, they somehow, somewhere in some back alley channel go hand in hand as well, Varghese.
Well, I think right now all talks are happening in the back channel or rather the path, and therefore there needs to be some kind of an effort to bring it onto the mainstream, just to give some kind of assurance to the people who have been displaced. How many people have been displaced? And it is affecting even the neighboring states. Mizoram has got a lot of people from there. Assam has got a lot of people from Manipur, and Manipuris themselves are displaced within their own territory. People who had from the valley settled in the hills and from hills in the valley have all run back, leaving back whatever they had with them ever since this particular aspect of the violence had begun. And therefore now with stealing of weapons, it only makes it worse. And that is a cause of concern that I think everybody has. And but the fact remains is why peace is being not present in Manipur, right, even after such a long time, 4.5 months, and we still keep speaking about blockades.
CM Biren Singh has a huge task cut out against himself. Those two-pronged statements that did come out, that I will provide the security for these, Kukizo community MLAs, and on the other hand saying that it's the Congress's regime that's to be blamed for this particular thing. You in fact have their fresh violence, loot of arms, rock Manipur before assembly session.
Yeah, the Hindustan Times, I was looking at fresh violence, loot of arms, rock Manipur before assembly session. Fresh violence rocked Imphal on Sunday as 3 houses were burned down and assault rifles were stolen from security personnel who, days ahead of an assembly session in strife-torn Manipur, were officers aware of the matter, said. The flare-up heightened tension in the northeastern state and strained the fragile peace that was established against the backdrop of clashes between dominant Methi community and tribal Kuki community. That have
take a look at this. Take a look at this.
155
we've got Ajay. We've got Ajay in the comment section saying violence in Manipur. Prime Minister should resign. Then only Manipur and entire India will be peaceful. See, then again, Ajay, with comments like these, it essentially does not put out anything. There is no solution here. Of course, apart from the idea that, I do get to understand that you're not a BJP supporter, clearly. Another Iris Mate, Iris Mate, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, saying that, hi, I'm from Manipur. About the peace in Manipur is, first of all, the valley peoples have to be surrendered their looted guns. Actually, right.
Which is very true, which is what you're saying is correct.
And they have to stop supporting their terrorists against tribal peoples. Again, thank you for joining us here in the comment section.
There are the person
that one I buy. Arms and weaponry amongst the common folk. I mean, imagine in the national capital ahead of G20, if everybody had their own pistols, if everybody was carrying their own rifles in their own vehicles.
It's a security nightmare that we are looking at.
Absolutely.
And right now in Manipur, you have a security nightmare. And I agree with that comment saying that even extremist elements must not be supported, because looting of guns, it has to be surrendered. But I would also say extremist elements in both the communities should not be let this
right now it might give that Robin Hood feeling. Right now it might give that security feeling. But trust you me, guerrilla warfare in the long run is not helping any village, is not helping any shanty, is not helping any community or any cultural group, let alone a tribal group. Killing and weaponry is not the answer, and war is not good for anything at all. Meanwhile, Chief Minister Biren Singh has a huge task that is cut out for him. We'll have to move on, ladies and gentlemen. A long list that we have to cover. Many thanks for joining with us in the comment section for those who were on the segment on Manipur. But do stay on. We've got lots and lots of interesting stories that are left to do. Let's listen in to what happened on the moon. The lunar surface. I've got a little quotation here by the ISRO chief. He says there is no problem in naming the area Shiv Shakti, because, well, a lot of people started saying that, why is the failed landers area called Tiranga, and why are you, giving it a religious hint to the successful, moon landing area called Shiv Shakti, which I essentially, personally, in my limited opinion, feel like there is no qualm or should be no qualm with that. It says the ISRO chief also feels the same way. It says nothing wrong in naming lunar land site Shiv Shakti. Meanwhile, he also says that ISRO today has the best possible picture of the lunar surface. So just be happy about that. First, be happy about the fact that you yourself, in the price of less than the budget of the Interstellar, in a price that is just twice the budget of an SS Rajamouli film, India put its lander on the moon in just 600 crore rupees, and now we have the best images possible of the lunar surface. And we'll try and play out some of those visuals as well, requesting the control room to just play out whatever visual that they have.
Oh, there you have.
It's now 12 meters ahead of the lander. That's the Pragyan rover.
I mean, it's such a sight to behold. What a visual that we are in fact looking at.
It's turning around.
It's turning around. Yeah,
it's turning around.
Remember, you only made that this thing. Though you were reading out saying that Pragyan will take a picture of the lander once it's forward. It goes forward from the Vikram lander.
That's what the ISRO chief said when the Prime Minister visited the ISRO, ISTRAC in Bengaluru, the telemetry and command sending center. I'm forgetting the full form of the acronym. The day the Prime Minister visited that in Bengaluru, and it's commendable to speak that the Prime Minister, after a hefty BRICS summit and a trip to Greece, went directly to ISRO. That's where he was made to sit down at the ISTRAC, and in proper live television screens the Prime Minister saw. The ISRO chief also said that well, the data collection. The data collection is also a little difficult because it takes time for images to come. But ladies and gentlemen, what you're seeing on your television screens is the latest moon probe. It's the latest findings. Now, if you can see on the chart, on the bar graph that you can see, it says variation of temperature on the lunar surface.
Yes,
with increase in depth. Take a look at that. How about the control room? How about you pause it right there so that the viewers can actually see it?
See, this is what the temperature says, that below 8 centimeters in the soil, it is supposed to be at around minus 10 degrees. Minus 10 degrees at the depth of 8 centimeters and 55 degrees centigrade at topmost layer, little above the level of the ground. So this is interesting thermal reading that is coming.
So basically, the deeper you go, the colder it gets or the hotter it gets?
Well, this says it is colder. And the first observation from the chased payload on this thing, in fact, thermophysical experiment says that measure the temperature profile of lunar topsoil around the pole, so to understand thermal behavior of the moon's surface. So it's a big, understanding of what is actually happening, just to understand as to whether, the question of how water could exist, what forms it could exist as well. Chandrayaan 3's Vikram lander module has recorded temperatures at various layers of the lunar surface. And on Sunday, in first such experiments that is set to offer new insights into moon's thermal behavior and characteristics, lunar soil, especially close to its south pole. The temperature graphs released by the Space Agency on Sunday reveal that the temperature drops significantly as the probe dug deeper into the lunar surface.
And it's really fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah, and which, while not unexpected, is the first time it has been quantified so minutely.
Varghese, what we're seeing, this movement of the rover, I'm reading here, it says that turnaround time between each rover movement operation is 5 hours.
Oh my God! Okay.
Moving the rover from point A to point B involves many steps. For every path planning, onboard navigation camera data must be downloaded to ground for generation of a digital elevation model. Then the ground and mechanism teams will decide which path to take and uplink the command for the rover to follow. So take a look at those visuals of the rover moving around on the lunar surface. It basically takes 5 hours. Now what we're seeing is a slow turn that the rover will now conduct. It's going to go up ahead, then it will take a slow turn. And that turn, this point A to point B, essentially is a 5-hour long process. So experimentation is not easy on the lunar surface, my dear friend. And why am I saying lunar surface again and again? I beg your pardon, on and around Shiv Shakti.
Shiv Shakti point, yes, but what a visual that is. And you know, this is the first time something is known about the South Pole, and especially on the lunar soil.
Right.
And it is big enough because you know, there have been a lot of people who had mocked at the prospects of India actually having a space program that could reach the moon. It was,
and that's not, and if that's not all, Varghese, the rover has already surmounted its first lunar obstacle as well. So there is a 100-millimeter deep crater that you can see on the right side over there.
Yeah, it's a 100 mm crater.
That's a 100 mm crater which it has clearly crossed. Like
you can
it was
see the
nothing.
tracks. You can see the tracks on that crater.
On that crater, it's a 100-millimeter. It's a really small crater, but albeit it is a lunar crater at and around Shiv Shakti. So the rover has sent a temp profile. It has crossed a 100-millimeter crater. I am beaming with a smile from ear to ear. I don't know what's happening with you, Varghese, but first temperature profile, a big day for you know.
You know, it's so heartwarming to see that rover there and on the lunar surface carrying on with its experiments as intended. And I'm just very curious about the data. And this is the first data that I'm
people talk about conspiracy theories about Neil Armstrong's moon landing, that it never happened. It was a Hollywood set. And a person in our you know, live chat also saying, can you tell us where and which studio this moon landing was filmed? Well, let me tell you, buddy, I'm of course a huge controversy theory you know, addict, but this time around you've got to believe it, the way with which it has been carried out. And the ISRO, I so wholeheartedly appreciate the Indian Space Research Organization for really taking it upon themselves to put out the right kind of pictures. To put out the right kind of pictures.
But Kabir, a lot of people tend to have that thing that we never landed on the moon, nor have the Americans landed on the moon. But I don't know about
nobody's landed on the moon.
No, yeah, I don't know about the Americans though.
So, Ajay, if I can definitely tell you out what studio this is, do let us know as well.
No, if I really can actually find out, yes, you have actually said it, that where it is done, even I would love to know. But for me, I think they have landed on the moon.
Well, Varghese, I'm not going to wait anymore. I know usually, you know, people tend to wait a lot for the sports section to come in. Now, there are a lot of things that happened over the weekend in terms of sports. You know, Manchester City came back from that gruesome, you know, draw. Liverpool were 10 men down, and Darwin Núñez scored those stunning, you know, that stunning brace and brought them really back to life. Manchester United, you know, is another team that won their victory due to a comeback. On the other hand, the US Open, you know, started out the first round, Djokovic, you know, easy wins. What's going to happen, we'll have to wait and find out. But at the World Athletics Championship, even as Aldrin, you know, couldn't manage to mesmerize in the finals. In the finals of the javelin throw, Neeraj Chopra, ladies and gentlemen, the Olympic winner, the Olympic gold medalist, has added another gold medal to his tally. It's India's first ever gold medal at the World Athletics Championship. This time around, it was the event took place in Budapest, and the javelin throw, our man, our golden boy, with an 88 point, I'm going to have to get down to the nitty-gritties of it, but 88-meter throw, and that's all it took. All he needed was just the one throw. These are, of course, you know, some old visuals of Neeraj Chopra. That's not the throw. Just to you know, just to tell the viewers as well, that you can see on your television screens. On a television screen, that was the throw. These are celebration visuals from Neeraj Chopra's village, Varghese. Again, a very happy moment in Panipat as well. Sweets that are being distributed. Golden boy with the golden arm and the golden javelin and another golden medal. The first for India. What do you say? A first for India. First ever.
You know, he scripts history, and probably javelin as a sport has become more interesting because Neeraj Chopra has made it very familiar to Indians, especially with his work. And what a powerful throw it was. I mean, if you see the old visuals, it was a very powerful throw. And of course, it is golden history that has been scripted by them over here. Well, these are in fact at a different event when he had done it. But that powerful throw, you can see him perfect when it comes to just before the launch of the javelin. He's perfectly placed. That comes with a lot of hard work and a lot of training.
Absolutely. He had a little bit of a niggle as well, but it seems like was no problem for Neeraj Chopra. You know, let's take a look at how the newspapers have covered it. It says Swarnim Neeraj, 88.17 meter का भाला फेंका नीरज ने अपने दूसरे प्रयास में. So the first one was actually, I remember seeing an X there, basically an illegal try, an illegal attempt, and the first legal attempt, just like the qualifiers as well, he threw just once at the qualifiers, and that was enough to reach the finals. And then the Indians and everybody back at home had to wait for another 4 days for the finals to take place on Sunday night. Okay. And then, and at the finals, the first one was an illegal throw, and the second one was it. The second one was it. And everybody kept on trying. Nadeem from Pakistan, he threw a 90-meter shot last time around at the previous World Athletics Championship, and that's why Neeraj got the silver medal at the previous World Athletics Championship. Neeraj beat Pakistan at the Olympics as well, where Pakistan again brought back the silver medal. And again, yesterday, Nadeem tried real hard. I'm telling you, he did. And he's got the physique, he's got that physical, superiority over Neeraj Chopra. But it seems like Neeraj, the practice that he did, his exercises, he looked buff, he looked fit. The technique that he used, the strategy that he used was absolutely fine. 87.82 meter का ही throw फेंक सके Pakistani athlete Arshad Nadeem. So 87.82. That's how close Pakistan got. Well, 2 पदक जीतने वाले विश्व चैंपियनशिप में नीरज एकमात्र भारतीय हैं. It's the first Indian to not only bag the gold but to bag 2 medals at the World Athletics Championship. What a big achievement for India. These past couple of months have been so, the kind of accolades India has gotten to its name. It's absolutely amazing. It's phenomenal. At least on the global stage, we're sitting on the high table, from sports to space research, ladies and gentlemen. A big moment for all of us to be proud of. Let's move on, Varghese. We have lots to cover, and of course I know you want to talk about the students' suicides in Kota.
I think the Kota suicide.
I was thinking, before we talk about that, let's talk about the Prime Minister and the ethics of artificial intelligence.
Yeah, that is also one aspect.
Yesterday, Varghese and I, we used ChatGPT, ladies and gentlemen. We tried our hand at ChatGPT, had our fun with ChatGPT as well, tried to understand what all services were available, and we got a little bit of a scare. Because you remember when we saw that anchor a show, you fed in the details and the anchor anchored up a proper show for you. Of course, I'm getting information from the control room right now about what to have, what to take next, what not to take, what to say, what not to say. But that is something that can't be done with an open source or an artificial intelligence platform based generated anchor or a news reader. A news readings is something that can be done, which is why we were scared. Now the Prime Minister at the B20, which is the business conglomerates meeting and version of the G20 summit, spoke about artificial intelligence. Spoke about, importantly, and a very welcomed statement, isn't it, Varghese? Let me just quickly
for the first time, I think people on a world leader stage, right, had someone actually speaking about the ethical need. You need to define a series of ethics on how to use AI. We have existing platforms, but I think all of them need to come and speak and have an ethical philosophy. Just like we have an ethical philosophy on the use of robots, I think we should have an ethical philosophy on the use of AI.
Create global framework on ethical use of artificial intelligence. Raises concerns. The Prime Minister has raised concerns, ladies and gentlemen, over the algorithmic bias, and seeks integrated approach on crypto as well. All are, of course, very important questions. Today, Varghese, you'll open YouTube and you'll watch one video about how to use the dumbbells properly.
And you get a whole lot of dumbbell videos.
And next time you open up YouTube, all you're going to see is a pair of dumbbells. That's how it happens.
Your ads on dumbbells, you get ads on dumbbells, you get more videos on dumbbells, how to use them and how to make dumbbells.
Basically makes us question, is the algorithm dumb? Is basically the question. I mean, of course, away from the lighter note, you watch a video about cooking, rest all videos become about cooking. So this algorithmic bias that the Prime Minister has spoken about, that is something that definitely needs to be taken a look at.
We were on a lighter note talking about, but when you talk about this kind of bias that is there, programming bias, it is also the fact that content, when it comes to content creation, is there, and this is what I've been doubting, is there a thing that, remember in our journalism schools, we were taught that how, the West dominated the news flow about the rest of the world, and they made perceptions about the rest of the world. So it has a similar kind of an algorithmic kind of a bias has been put when it comes to content creation and picking of content creation as well.
Right.
Picking the kind of content that is there that tends to enforce these biases. That is one thing that has to be looked at. I mean, what the Prime Minister says is a lot, it's a huge topic when you talk about biases when it comes to algorithms. But I'm just saying some of these facets that we need to in fact be looking into as well. And as I said, it's the first time that probably from a world leaders forum, we are looking at asking for ethics, on
a
handling with a framework for handling.
It's going to be interesting
AI.
to see that, even as we're talking about the flyovers and, the underpasses becoming really beautiful. Actually, you know what, Varghese, we'll talk about
just
that.
Show me those. You were in fact showing me those pictures just before the show started.
Right. Maps and tourist spots, history, mythology, dance forms come to life on the city walls, courtesy of local street artists. There's a mural at Bhairo Marg that's being painted. Outside Mandi House metro station, street artist Irfan Khan has completely decked up the entire, central Delhi area. Like I said, I was there for an ice cream jaunt last night, and let me tell you, that little trip was absolutely beautiful. The kind of lighting that they've done, Varghese. Maps, tourist spots, info in 110 languages on the new police website. So that language thing that you were talking about, that this is the national capital, so many people are going to come here. Of course, not all of it can be put out on boards on the roads, but in 110 languages.
That is
police website and police information on.
Where was the paintings that you were in fact showing me? I think that
it's all across. It's all across the various newspapers.
Can you just show it to our viewers, because it's such a beautiful
the camera person, please just
group of pictures. It's such a beautiful collage early in the morning to see on how Delhi is being decked up for
G20. Take a look at this, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll just read this as well. The flyover is their gallery. Street art to G20 look. Meet the brush brigade painting the town. So there is visuals from all across Noida. This is not just Delhi, Noida as well, the Noida elevated road. Take a look at this. So many pictures. I'm not sure if, small newspaper clippings are going to be able to do justice. But take a look at all these pictures. Can the camera person zoom in a little bit more? Zoom in a little bit more on the pictures. There you go. When the Walls Speak is the name of, this particular blurb. And this is all across Noida Sector 15, 17, 76, all those prime places from where, nice flyovers really pass through. That's the situation like right now. And it says the flyover is their gallery. So not just the national capital, Varghese. Appreciate you showing this around. So the Prime Minister asking for a global framework on artificial intelligence, the ethical use of artificial intelligence, algorithmic bias. Will that be a part of the agenda at G20? Because this is happening just a fortnight ahead of G20.
But Kabir, also when we are talking about G20, I think we should move on to the fact that the pro-Khalistani slogans appear to have been appearing in at least 5 metro stations in the city.
Absolutely.
I'll just read a small aspect of it. Pro-Khalistan slogans were found written in the walls of at least 5 Delhi metro stations on Sunday, just days before the G20 Leaders Summit scheduled to take place in the city. The police said that some people wrote Khalistan referendum Zindabad and Delhi Banega Khalistan on the walls of the metro stations. A senior officer said that the slogans were found at Shivji, Manipur, Paschim Bihar, Udyognagar and Maharaja Suraj Mal Stadium metro stations. Meanwhile, a purported video by the band outfit Seeks for Justice surfaced on social media. In the video, the outfit's leader Gurpatwant Singh Panun said that can be heard.
Look at that! Look at that! Look at that! Look at that!
Yeah, that is the graph.
It says Khalistan Zindabad over there.
So on one side,
so from the consulate in San Francisco, from violence and vandalism taking place from the streets in Australia. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now come. This is trickled back home, and with the recent killing of Nijjar and various pro-Khalistan supporters.
Well, the thing is that they are looking into
really
CCTV footage right now to find out what's happening.
Right.
So I'm saying on one side, when so beautifully the city is being decked, on the other side, you have these rebellious elements who are trying to, bringing their political agenda, a dead political agenda to a large extent, because most of them who wanted a state like that do not have any more Indian passports. They are all in Canada or in the UK, and they are trying to fight from there. So my question to all of them is that, are you citizens of your adopted country, or are you still citizens over here to carry on with this rebellion?
Yeah, and the bigger question is, this is happening ahead of G20. So ahead of G20, security concerns, that is something that we'll again have to look at.
That is why,
will this be brushed aside underneath the carpet? Because I'll tell you what, tensions are palpable with the recent killing of, the death of Nijjar, the KTF leader, and Sikh for Justice now coming into the fray. Security will certainly become a worrisome point for not just the local police, but for the NSA as well.
Well, it is going to be a worrisome point, because G20, as I said, has its own security situations. You have 29 leaders, coming in from the top leadership of their countries coming in. You have to provide that kind of security. So there is a huge aspect of it that has to be looked into when it comes to this. But in the meantime, you have such fringe elements carrying on with this kind of nonsense in the national capital as well.
Right. So at the one hand, you have the beautification of the national capital. On the other, a particular metro station has been defaced, vandalized with these pro-khalistan, slogans, and another security concern. The Delhi Metro has said that it's going to cooperate. It is going to cooperate with, of course, the police. It's a law and order situation. CCTV footages are being probed, and we'll get down to the bottom of this, and in due time, of course, ladies and gentlemen. 2 more teens die by suicide in Kota. Another set of students that have committed suicide, died by suicide rather, beg your pardon, and makes you wonder again, makes you circle back to that same question of stress, of that rat race, of trying to make it or break it. And it seems like we always know what the question is, we always know what the problem is, we always also know what the solution is, but we just can't help it, can we? There's always so much that we can do, but we can't help it. Let me just take you through what's happened in Kota, ladies and gentlemen. 2 teenagers living in Kota to prepare for admissions into medical colleges. The stress and rat race factor that I'm talking about. Died by suicide on Sunday, taking the grim tally of students dying in a town known across the country for its test prep business to 23 in 2023. The number is by far the highest since the year 2015, when the administration first began compiling records of college aspirants who die by suicide. 6 of the 23 deaths took place in August alone. I mean, the more that I read these words, Varghese, the more there's an eerie feeling that I'm getting in my stomach. 23 deaths by suicide so far in 2023 alone, in a town that is known for its test preparations, for these competitive examination preparations, and gives us a huge insight and viewpoint as to the kind of stress students are going through. I mean, lineage, legacy, it'll all move on. You've got young ones at home, don't you? They'll grow up, they'll become, you'll aspire for them to be the best people that they possibly can become. Where is this stress coming from? How do we alleviate this stress?
I was speaking to a group of, in my earlier days when I was, taking up story about suicide among students. I was speaking to a group of psychologists, and you know what they said? They said that Indian parents suffer from what we call as, or what they called then as Yayati complex. Yayati being the king who took his son's youthfulness. Reference. It's a Puranic reference where he took the youthfulness of his son to live his life, to stay young.
Right.
Now, I said, can you explain it more? He said that Indian parents tend to enforce their life upon their children. They don't ask about what their children should pursue, but they tend to try to live what their ambitions were in their children. So in a way trying to take their youthfulness.
These little child projects that are being invested in for them to grow up and give returns back.
And then, Kabir, have you noticed when you go to any school, education institutions,
Right.
and whether you go to an a college or any place, what is the first thing that they sell? They don't sell this college or their education institution for the student. What they sell it is, they sell it to the parents, because the parents are the one who are paying the money. So what happens is, the parents are told that, this is the facilities that we have, this is what we have. They don't say that this is what we will teach your child, not that what does the child have, what is there in that organization. What the parents think the child should be taught is what they tried selling it, and that is how the system has been for ages in this country. And then you have these mass coaching factories, and I think that has to be stopped, because these mass coaching factories, what do? Only recently we were asking about how boards matter or not in a discussion on the change that we are trying to bring in the national curriculum framework. We were asking whether boards matter or not. Most of the time, the children are spending in these coaching factories, where they are being coached to go for competitive exams one after the other. NEET aspirants are the worst people who are under pressure. There are horrific stories where parents have sold their homes, have taken huge loans, and then put them in these coaching factories, and you don't tend to make it, and then it's a huge financial mess they are in. So they the student attempts suicide, the parents try, the family attempts suicide.
It's a vicious cycle.
It's a vicious cycle. So education should not be killing, it should be in fact trying to.
The minute you take a look at this vicious cycle from outside, not being part of that family or that social group that is in that vicious cycle, it just feels like you're overstepping your boundaries. You don't understand the societal and the social relationship of one family. It might be unique to yours, and it might be different in another family. And you said NEET, and the first state that came to my mind was Tamil Nadu again. And
Tamil Nadu has been saying that it wants to be out of NEET for a long time.
Well, at least that's what
a lot of suicides have been reported in Tamil Nadu.
A lot of people on the ground who are from Tamil Nadu also don't want NEET to go. So it's a
but who are these people who don't want to go? Those people who are privileged, who can go to these coaching factories, who have a plan B and have the money for that plan B.
A lot of success stories.
And success stories, that's what I'm saying. What is the success story you're talking about, Kabir? In a competitive exam, you have only one or two people who can be success stories, because you're beating to get to that place. I understand competition, I love competition, and I understand you have done a good job by going by competition. But competition where it kills the other person is not competition. That is the problem with this. And our competitive exams are coming to the point where it has become ego issues, it has become a parent-child psychological problematic issues.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying people who have to pursue it, let them pursue it, but tell them that this is not the end of the world. Of course, you have not been able to make it at the top. You can try it next year. If you haven't made it, that's not the end of your life. There are people who have become success stories even after that. So the fact remains is that these deaths in fact show the kind of pressure that is put, that your entire world depends on this competitive exam, which is not the truth.
Right. Again, hearts and prayers going out to the loved ones of the two students who died by suicide. Again, giving you that grim number, 23 student suicides in 2023 in Kota, a town that is known for preparing you for these competitive examinations. Think about the stress of the students as well, a little bit. We will talk about it again. Seems like it's important that we do a show on this one as well. Bring the right kind of people from both sides of the divide. Anyway, always difficult to move on from such news. Let's shift our focus, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about Gyanvapi, the Gyanvapi mosque. And let me read out the latest that I'm picking up on the internet here. It says the Chief Justice of Allahabad High Court, Pritinkar Divakar, will hear the Vishwanath Gyanvapi mosque dispute today regarding the maintainability of a suit filed before the Varanasi court. This according to the news wires essentially. So what's happening is that Allahabad High Court is going to today, under the, the Chief Justice Pritinkar Divakar is going to be presiding on the bench. It's going to hear the Kashi Vishwanath Gyanvapi mosque dispute. It is regarding the maintainability of a suit that was filed before a Varanasi court. Another bench of Justice Prakash Padya had earlier reserved its verdict in the case and fixed August 28 for the delivery of the judgment. The pleas include a challenge to the maintainability of a suit filed before a Varanasi court. The pleas seek the restoration of a temple at the site where the Gyanvapi mosque exists as per a cause list issued by the court. Now, the petitions also challenge a Varanasi court direction to the ASI to conduct a comprehensive survey of the Gyanvapi mosque. Essentially, Varghese, what we were talking about, that the survey is going on and the survey report will come or it won't come is another question in the public domain, that is. But this batch of petitions, some 18, 19 petitions that were doing the rounds all across Varanasi, various lower courts in and across Varanasi. 28th August was the date that was set for the judgment on all these, the maintainability of the plea in the court.
Every
that
time
particular verdict is going to come out. Legally very
confusing kind of a situation. Because
absolutely.
At the moment, what we understand is that the court said that it's not going to interfere with the Varanasi court's order. Then you're talking about whether this can be maintained at the very court where it is being heard, and then what will the going by how the court will do. Of course, it will be listening to both the arguments and then take a decision on it. But the fact remains is that right now the survey has been carried out, and at the same time, there are some petitioners who are trying to break away and have out-of-court settlement also at the same time, and the bunch of petitions, as you rightly pointed out, is only complicating the factor. So now we have this maintainability issue also coming in place. So let us see how the court is going to decide on this, and I think we have to wait and watch, because Gyanvapi, when it comes to the legal aspect of it, it's still an evolving case.
Absolutely, because even as the Archaeological Survey of India, began their carrying out their survey, it was stopped. The Muslim side was quick to move the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said, well, let's hold on. There was a 4-day impasse. Then the Allahabad High Court said, okay, finally you can go and carry on. The Wazu Khana, the ablution area, was not touched. The ASI said that, without excavating, without using their chisels and going behind the walls or something, that survey that they're doing, this comprehensive scientific survey, is not possible. The other question that people are talking about, why do you need a comprehensive scientific survey when you have the Places of Worship Act from 1991? Why do you want to carry out this comprehensive survey? What are you trying to prove with this comprehensive survey? Once it's in the public domain, what is going to happen? Many people are already saying that once the survey is complete, the masjid is going to fall, the mosque is going to fall, and a temple is going to be built. But on the other hand, already you've got a bunch of petitions that are now finally they're again in the court today under the Chief Justice of Allahabad. So it's going to be a major ruling that's going to come out, be it an observation, be it a verdict. Count on News 9 to bring you all the latest on this development, ladies and gentlemen. Let's quickly shift our focus here. I was reading here on the front page, it seems, and this is not the first time that this is happening, where the teachers are involved in the beating of students. We were talking about student suicides just a short while ago now, weren't we? Take a look at this. Made a mistake, not ashamed, says the UP teacher. What was this mistake? Listen into this. Tripta Tyagi, the school teacher seen in the recent video allegedly asking students to slap their Muslim classmate, said on Sunday that she had made a mistake, but added that she was not ashamed of it. All students are treated equally, is what she asserted. How do you take a look at this? What is it that you're picking up from your papers? Because this is a story that has shocked so many people across the country. A teacher calling on other students to hit their Muslim classmate just sends a weird kind of chill down my spine. Muzaffarnagar school where boy was beaten on teacher's order has been sealed. Now, authorities in Muzaffarnagar on Sunday sealed a private school in Khobbapur village where a 7-year-old boy was beaten by other students on instructions from their teacher earlier this week. The teacher, Tripta Tyagi, who's 60 years old, had allegedly referred to the boy's faith and talked, not very nice things about Muhammadan children. And she asked other students to beat the boy hard. The boy's family said he was beaten up for a mistake in multiplication tables. So, a mistake in multiplication tables led to his unfortunate luck of being born in a Muslim household, and that's why other students were forced, and the other students also, because it's so neatly embossed in everybody's psyche. A 7-year-old child knows that the other child from the other community is certainly wrong, and children are beating up. That's what's happening in a classroom. When we should be talking about climate change, when we should be talking about sharing, talk about all those good humanistic principles, Varghese, this is what's happening in a classroom. And that too, your teacher, the guiding light, is asking you to thrash another boy.
First of all, Kabir, corporal punishment is gone. And it happens in rural schools, yes, but at least this has brought the focus on the kind of physical assault students face when they are not listening, or they tend to make a mistake with their education. Think of this. You have made a mistake with regard to a certain aspect, which is the multiplication table. Instead of being corrected and told that this is the this thing, you have been humiliated in front of a class on two levels. One, that because you made a mistake which could have been easily corrected and taught. Secondly, you're humiliated by being slapped by own classmates
in front of other classmates.
In front of other classmates. Three, you're made to feel as an other in that same classroom. You are not made to feel welcome. And when the teacher slaps at that student.
What a beautiful headline here on the editorial page of the Indian Express. Every time I sort of quote a newspaper, for good or bad, I feel like I must tell the viewers that this show is not about calling down a newspaper or talking highly about one. Just talking about news. It's a newspaper. A teacher's heart set. This written by Amita Mulya-Vattal, saying that Muzaffarnagar video is a reminder. And listen to this, ladies and gentlemen. The Muzaffarnagar video is a reminder that teachers, yes, they do come from society, but today we also need our teachers to challenge society as well. That is what's lacking. Teachers come from society, and you know what they say, that they're not paid well, but a teacher is a teacher. Mr. Miyagi from the Karate Kid said that, there's never a bad student. It always is a bad teacher. If you think it's a bad student, you're wrong. It's always a bad teacher. That's what the Chinese proverb says. But today we need our teachers to challenge society constantly as well.
Well, we are having a group of teachers that are seeming to be quite prejudicial in how they are looking at their students, and this Muzaffarnagar teacher in fact talks about it, and I was shocked after seeing that video. And when the teacher says she's unapologetic of what has happened, it just shows that she is completely out of touch with what's happening when it comes to education. And beating up a boy for not knowing tables and then shaming him in front of his class for his identity is the worst thing that could have happened to that student. Just imagine how much of this trauma would be in him when he grows up. That is the big question you need to be asking.
Take a look at this.
And and also teachers. I was in a country like ours. Just complete that. In a country like ours, we believe it like this. And for those who believe in Indian culture and think, for them also. I was taught a very important prayer, a Hindu prayer song by my Kannada teacher. And I keep carrying it because it gives a lot of meaning to me. It says, Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Deva Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshal Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurue Namaha. That is the level at which your Guru is about your parents. And your Guru is like a person who, is like Brahma, who helps you to create. A Guru is like Vishnu, who helps you to sustain, to see what is. A Guru is also a person who tells you to destroy as well what is bad in society. So now what we have is a group of teachers who have forgotten all those basic ethics. For me, that's the beauty of this country. In a classroom, I had people from various religions. I had various teachers from various religions. All of them taught me a good part of their religion, and all of them had that influence and profound influence on me. Now, this is the country that we need to grow in, a composite cultural system. But unfortunately, this division, this story, the moment I came to know what the unapologetic part of that teacher was also quite shocking. I think the government should take immediate action on this to prove the point, to basically prove the point that communalism will not be at the level of how children are going to be seen as.
I'm just going to read this one.
Because remember, this is a Muslim student.
Absolutely.
And a Muslim student like Abdul Kalam, he became the president of this.
And you know where Chandrayaan 3 today is. Anyway, I was planning to give you a surprise on Teachers' Day, but I got one myself. You dehumanized me by turning my friends against me. We are all your victims. Those who hit me on your instructions, and I, who was shamed by your actions and words. Miss Tyagi, it is bad enough that you don't help me to read or write. I cannot paint, dance, breathe, meditate, or even relax when you are in class. You have never helped me cope with anxiety or aggression. Because of you, I cannot express tenderness and trust. Why have you never spared any concern about the situation around me, that because of it, I don't know who I am anymore, or whether I even have a self to find anymore?
That actually sums it up. I think that sums the entire factor about it. Like, what's actually ailing our schools?
That's what we're trying to put out in front of you. So, when I say that this show essentially is for you to catch a news pulse of the day, I'm not joking about it. We're talking about pretty much everything that needs to be spoken about out there as well. Before we move on, one last thing that I did in fact miss out here, Varghese, is the 7 people that lost their lives in a tragic accident in a Bengal fireworks factory. Again, Bengal, again a fireworks factory, again politics that is definitely at play over there. These lands that are given across to these fireworks manufacturers at there is no objection certificate that is given. There is no guidelines that are strictly checking whether these factories are being set up in the right areas, in the right places, what's around these
storage of chemicals,
the storage of chemicals, storage of firecrackers in general as well. And this is not the first case that is happening in Bengal, is it, Varghese? 7 people that have lost their lives.
Whenever an accident like this happens is when suddenly the administration, we have to criticize ourselves. Even we tend to wake up. Firecracker factories, especially wherever it is set, there is a huge issue. And the huge issue is that there is no constant and regular inspection of these places. For God's sake, this is a place where you're storing explosives. And handling of explosive, how it is in fact done, those chemicals, how it is carried out. The another famous place is Sivakasi in Tamil Nadu, where you have had several accidents also happening. I covered Kabir way back somewhere around 2000, 17, I think, when in Kerala at a temple, they had stored firecrackers in an unscientific way inside, a storage area next to the temple, and it blew up and so many people died. I went to cover it over there, and then I realized is that there was no one who was constantly monitoring the storage capacity of it, and nobody is in fact constantly monitoring as to whether it is kept at the right place where the the crackers are being
look at that. That's a blast.
That's what I'm saying. These are explosives that we are talking about. These are explosives. So why is it only when incidents like this happen? You can look at the blast radius that has happened. Buildings have been completely demolished because what you see over there is actually an explosion that happened.
And all of this is an illegal cracker unit. And the blast in this illegal cracker unit, ladies and gentlemen, has killed 7 in West Bengal. 7 people. 7 people that have died in this illegal firecracker blast. Now, this is the second such case in the last 3 months alone. I constantly remember, the firecracker blast that took place in that illegal cracker unit again, right ahead of the panchayat polls as well.
This is exactly what I was trying to say. First of all, there is no monitoring, storage of chemicals, the danger.
And this one, it seems like it's a powerful blast, Varghese. Sorry to cut you short there. It's a powerful blast.
Look, most of the concrete structures have been decimated. So it is, in fact, like a bomb blast that has happened over there. And in fact, the administration is going to now wake up late. You will have the customary, the kind of customary
apologies and ex gratia that's going to be given.
And then you would be looking at the investigations also happening, and then you will come to the conclusion that it was
saying the blast ripped through more than a dozen houses.
So just imagine this. Your basic law says that you cannot store these chemicals in a populated area. Your basic law says that, and that has been violated, and this is the impact of that violation.
Well, the victims included one of the owners of this illegal cracker unit as well. Now, the intensity of the blast was such that it left body parts strewn across a radius of 500 meters from the site. So this is not your people dying because of collapsing buildings. This was a super powerful blast. Body parts were flung across a 500-meter radius.
No, my question is, how is it that the authorities, the local police unit, did not have a whiff of this factory working from there? Don't they understand that chemicals powerful enough to create this kind of devastation was being stored over there? If that was the case, then it is a law and order failure that has happened at that local level at North.
The factory was spread across 10 bhigas and 60 to 70 people worked inside. It had chemicals stored in a laboratory which are suspected to have been used in the crackers. which could also have been a reason for the super powerful blast. Now, the unit used to be a brick kiln, which was shut down by the owners, who then converted it into a firecracker manufacturing unit that churned out thousands of banned crackers. These banned crackers were stored illegally on its premises, which the neighbors have also called out earlier. Owners and the workers lived in the neighboring houses, and of course the neighboring houses that were hit.
You were
the
saying
police have
illegal,
cordoned off the area and started an investigation.
Actually, I want to know what is the kind of chemicals that they have been using, because you were saying it's illegal crackers that were being looked into. So what is the kind of chemicals that they have kept over there, because that itself shows that things were not hunky-dory, and this is a huge failure at the local level, and it's a dangerous failure that cost the life of so many people.
Well, all right then. Varghese, it seems like we've covered pretty much most that we did set out to cover. You can, of course, get down to the News 9's Instagram page and the YouTube page, because we've done, fantastic videos on the kind of beautification and the decoration that is being done on these walls as well. Of course, Japan's moon mission is something that we should have pressed on a little bit more, but it seems like in Chandrayaan 3's glory, I don't really want to talk about anybody else's. I know it sounds really vain and sounds really not objective, but it's all about Pragyan rover for me. Lander Vikram and Pragyan rover. Roscosmos, NASA, ESA, the Japanese Space Agency, it can all certainly.
And Kabir, we landed on the moon. We landed on the moon, not human, I mean,
not on a studio set.
Yeah, we landed on the moon.
All right, so later on at 11 a.m., ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about Nuh more specifically today, because that yatra is going to be carried out, and on the other hand, the Home Minister is saying that, well, everything is already in check, security personnel have been deployed. Later on in the evening, the biggest debate and the actual debate that you shouldn't miss out on happens at 7 p.m. The real talk and to the point. At 8 p.m. under the global lens, all the top international stories. That is something that we're going to cover for you. Later on during the afternoon, top news from down south with the South Indian with Sudha Sadanand. And of course, do continue to stay on with us during the course of the day for everything that's latest, that's dropping, that's hopping and hot underneath the sun. This is Kabir Naqvi and Varghese P. Abraham that is signing off. Keep watching News 9 Live.
China won't let us rest easy on our borders, but they will keep flooding our markets. What does Xi Jinping really want?
I think he wants the Indian market, no doubt about it.
It's really a matter of showing their dominance.
India's great Chinese conundrum.
Nobody can contain it.